Hi everyone. So in this video we're gonna be I'm gonna be showing you how to use Inkscape to make publication-worthy images. Inkscape, you can download it for free. It is open source, multi-platform. You have a Mac, you have a Windows, you can download it. And it's available on the web for download. Okay, this is Inkscape. Simple, right? What we're gonna do is we're gonna use this article and we're gonna recreate an image from it. So we're I'll place it in the video description. Okay, this image, well, I'm gonna use part of this figure. I'm gonna try to recreate this with Inkscape, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a screenshot of it, and then we're gonna paste the screenshot in Inkscape. Okay, oops. We're gonna resize it while keeping the aspect ratio as locked, and we're gonna just make it smaller maybe. Okay, yeah, that should be good. Okay, what we can do is we can also resize the page to the selection so that it only contains that image. Okay, after we've done that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna start adding stuff to it. Right, we're gonna write over it. Of course, there's a way that you can actually, if you'd like, you can trace the bitmap for it, and it will just show you a lower resolution, less result manifestation of it. But it's not quite that practical because, as you can see, it's a lot of information has been lost on it. Right. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna recreate it with a drawing, vector images. So we're gonna use this tool called Bezier curve. Draw Bezier curve and straight lines to make a straight line. Okay, we're gonna zoom in on the image by holding the control button and using the roller ball and to go a little higher in resolution. Okay, then we're gonna click here on that sphere. We're gonna zoom out. You're also using the control and the roller ball, and then we're gonna zoom in again. And there, we've created our here should be good. Maybe here. Okay. Okay. Now, after that, we select the arrow. You can see that there's nothing even, right? It appears that there's nothing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a line to that quote-unquote line that we've created. Doesn't have a stroke. So for that, we go here and we click on stroke. It's currently unset. So we double-click it, and we go to stroke paint. Select a flat color, and now you can see that this become black, right? Because there's actually a stroke now. So we're gonna change it to we're gonna make it red, okay? And now also, because it's an arrow, we need to add an arrow endpoint here, marker. So we're gonna add it by clicking on stroke style and the marker, the last one here, okay? So it's looking good now. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna use layers to keep our everything neat, okay? And so there's a hierarchy. So what layers does is actually tells you what graphic goes above which one. Okay, so basically what goes below, the bottommost are the ones in here in this, basically in this interface. Bottommost will go the bottommost on the image as well. Okay, so if I place the image, for instance, which is actually this image, right? If I place this image above the path or above the arrow that we just created, you'll see that the arrow is no longer there. Because why? Because the arrow now it's gone all the way to the background. Okay. So we can change that. Actually, I'll change the name of this path to arrow. Okay, it's an arrow. And let's bring it up again. Okay, so now you can see that it's appeared magically. But we're gonna create another layer called, we're just gonna call it image, as in reference to this image. Okay, image initial, okay? And we're gonna create it, it's gonna be below the current layer, add it. And now we're gonna drag that image to this layer that's called image initial. Maybe it's best practice that I do image layer. Okay. All right. Now this layer 1, we're gonna rename it as time series. Okay. And time series now, it's only currently, it only has an arrow and nothing else. So we're gonna add nodes to that arrow so that it looks more like a time series. I'll create one node here, right? We're gonna copy paste, and we're gonna select two of these by holding shift button and selecting with the mouse. Scroll out with control button, control C, control V. Okay, now we select more, control C, control V. Okay. Oops. As you can see, the Inkscape has very good tools for even like centering objects, right? Relative centering. It's very helpful. And we can go on, so on and so forth, right, with the whole thing. I guess like you can select all of these with this tool with the mouse, and then deselect the image with shift and left click, and deselect the arrow, and just copy paste them in bulk, all of these. Nope. Okay, doesn't have to be perfect, it's just a tutorial, or I guess. All right. I guess there's two left here, so we're just gonna select two and place them here. Now all of these, they're supposed to be bluish, right? So, but they're white in, they have a white fill. So we're gonna change that by clicking on that fill button here while selecting them all. And we're gonna change it to the fill. It's gonna be, I guess, close to blue here. We're gonna give it a softer color, less aggressive than the one that the paper, this article has. And we're also going to change the stroke paint to black. Okay. So now you can see we have all of these nodes. We can even add a sub layer so that within the layer section within time series, so that it gives us a more ordered hierarchical idea of what we're doing. Right, so what we do is we go to time series, the first layer. We click on create new layer, and we're gonna create a new layer, a sub layer of current. We're gonna call it training nodes. Okay. And now we're gonna select all of these nodes, which are basically everything that's called path, and we're gonna insert them inside that training nodes layer. So now you can see, when you click on arrow, it's selecting that arrow. We click on training nodes, it's select on only these nodes, right? Like we could create, if you wanted, also nodes in other categories by just clicking on one node from that sub layer. Whoops, what did I do? Clicking on one node and pasting it, copy paste. Now this node will become have another fill. You could select the this little syringe or dropper, and so that it changes the color to the red color on the former image. Okay, let's make it softer even. Like let's increase the light. Okay, just make it more aesthetically pleasing. We can copy paste, but before copy pasting, we can go back to the layers module. And I guess it's this one, the latest one. As I mentioned, it should be the topmost because the topmost are the most recently created objects. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create another sub layer within this time series layer, and we're gonna call it testing nodes, test nodes. Okay. Okay, and test nodes here above, it doesn't really matter because they're on the same line. But I guess like what we do is we now move this node, there's test, and we move to test nodes. Now when we do that and we copy paste, you'll see that the new creations are allocated to that test node sub layer. Okay, so that's great because that's actually what we want, right? So we can create more and it will do that. Keep allocating the nodes or placing them on that category. And you can do the same for this for these next for test nodes. Just add a new category if you want, right? But I leave that up to you. If you want to continue the exercise, maybe learn a little bit more. You can see now that this whole thing is just when we click on time series and we move it, it will basically move the whole thing. Even with the sub-layer categories, test nodes, train nodes, the arrow, it will move the whole thing, right? So that's what's great about using layers. With layers, there's little need to group objects. Actually, you could group them as if you want, but you know, there's even like a good reason to use these instead of like doing the grouping, right? Okay, because you can literally make subgroups of everything basically. So what we do now is we can copy paste this whole template and make new time series, right? So we just if we click on that layer and we basically click Control-C and then Control-V, then it's created a new time series. And the time series, of course, the new one, the new time series layer that's created, of course, is at the top most because it's the most recent. So we're gonna call it time series 2. Okay, and this one, the first one, was time series 1. Okay, so we click on time series 2 and we can move it to the place that it should where it should be relative to the image, right? Which should be here. And we can do the same. We can then do the same process for time series 3, then time series 4. Right? We click on time series 3 and we move it. Oops, no, I shouldn't have done that. Let me delete time series 4 for a minute. Okay, time series 3, and then time series 3 we move it there. Then we repeat the process. Time series 4, rename, move it. Time series 5, rename. Okay, and that's it, right? Of course, there's a need to move certain things around, right? Like if you look at the image below it, which is on the oldest layer, basically, you'll see that time for these test nodes, they must be shifted here, right? Right, but that's easily done. Why can we do that with ease? Because we've been using this system, basically, right? So we just click on the test node sub-layer and we can move them as a whole group, right? And we can do that with in a very easy way and very fast. So test nodes here, go all the way there. And so now we have something that is more intuitive, even for creating this whole thing is more intuitive even, right, than a regular drawing. Okay, and of course you can expand the rest of the drawing at your own will. We can also write text with this A letter tool on the left. Time. You'll see that if I write time, it's too dark and strange. It's because there's a tracing which comes from the stroke paint, right? Which is left by default, I guess, because I've been drawing time series. So I get rid of the stroke paint and I change the fill to black. And now I just place it here as it was, right? On the original image. Okay? We can do the same for the legends. The legends are, I guess we can just copy paste that text. And now we write training test. I'm just gonna write training test and not used here. Okay, I'm gonna scroll up. Sorry, zoom in. Training. You can see that actually I've changed this around, but if you're using Inkscape for the first time, you'll probably, when you click enter, you'll probably see something like this, testing, not used, and it's too close. You probably see something even worse, probably see something like that, right? That's because you need to change, after you've done creating all your text and enter several spaces, you need to modify the spacing with this AA drop-down setting, basically, I would change it to 1. Okay, so there's good spacing here between text. Okay. Yeah, so for the legend, you can click, I guess, training. Okay, what was testing? Testing was here, I guess. And not used. Not used, let's make it white. Now, let's just make them larger. Right. Let's align them again. And then after this, I guess we no longer need that image, right? Okay. So now you can see that now we can, I don't like the width here. The width should be, the stroke style for these is 0.5, right? So it should preserve the stroke style, I guess. So you can change the stroke style using in that tool that I've shown you. Okay. And now it looks neat, right? You can select this whole, the whole drawing that we've made, and then we go to edit and go click on resize page to selection. And now this is our new image. We can now save this document. I'm going to save it as time series. Okay, by Control S. And as you noticed, if you've noticed, probably I've saved it as a .svg format for support vector graphic. And that's good because this format that is editable by Inkscape. Okay, so every time you open it, you can open it with Inkscape. But what we can do is we can export it to the more common formats. We can we click on this button here, and we can export as a portable network graphic. I'm gonna do that just to show you. I don't recommend it, but that's why I'm showing you why you export it with this format first, right? So we're gonna export it on the same place where we saved the file on the desktop as a portable network graphic, which is basically a pixelated format. And we're also gonna export it as a support vector graphic, but as a PDF format, right? So we're gonna also export it as PDF. Okay, and I'm gonna show you the difference. So if we open the PNG, save it as the desktop in the desktop, you'll see that the PNG looks like this. Okay, it's okay at first, but if you zoom in on this thing, wait just a second. Let me open it again. Yeah, if you try to zoom in on this thing, it just doesn't do the job. It's not great. Let me zoom in 200%. Right? You see that it's blurry, the text looks grainy, it's just terrible. Right? Let me zoom in even more, right? You can see it looks pixelated. Like, what's up with that, right? Now let's look at the PDF, right? The PDF, the file that was saved as a PDF, it actually preserves the vector graphic format, even though it's PDF. So if we zoom in on this file, you'll see that it is a scale invariant. The resolution keeps high even after zooming in to a very high power, right? To more than 800%, which is great for publications, I feel. What's also great for publications is that we can select this whole text. We can copy it and we can paste it on a notepad, and it will give us the same text that we've basically copied, right? And so what we can do when you write a paper is I recommend that you use text or LaTeX. And LaTeX allows you to basically place files as PDFs, and when you place your images as PDFs, it will retain these scale invariant features, right? As well as the selection features for the text. And so that's how you make publication worthy images using Inkscape. I hope you liked the video and you learned something new. Thank you.